All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another PGA golf video. We're diving into the 2025 Farmers Insurance Open this week. It's going to be at Torrey Pines. This one kicks off a day earlier. They're playing, and I think I read it's because they don't want it to conflict with the NFL, but playing Wednesday to Saturday. They're going to play 3 rounds at the South Course and then 1 round at the North Course. So as we go through this video and talk about Torrey Pines, we're going to focus on that South Course because they're playing 3 out of 4, 75% of the rounds there. So keep that in mind there. But what we're going to do is we're going to go through this. I'm going to give you some of my thoughts on the course. We're going to talk about a few of the favorites, and then we'll talk about some players that I think fit the mold for this course, and then we'll get into some other plays as well. But guys, as always, like I always tell you, keep an eye down on the pinned comment. That'll take you to the Guy Boston Sports site. It'll have all of my final plays, so what I'm actually rolling with this week, right there in front of you, absolutely free, down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. We didn't have the best, and honestly, we haven't had the best last couple weeks, dropping a few units there across the two. But this is golf, and it's a lot different. You're looking at a lot more plus money plays and whatnot. So I'm trying to just stay the course, keep the process going, and this is a tournament I feel pretty damn good about in terms of some of our reads. We have a few big-time sleepers and dark horses as well, so let's go ahead and just dive right into the course breakdown here. So courtesy of Bet the Number here, guys, we'll see fairways in regulation slightly lower than tour average, greens in regulation right around tour average, scrambling just slightly lower, 3 putts greater than 25 feet, greater than tour average. So let's keep that in mind, right? Birdies per round, right on tour average. In fact, I want to say that only the par 5s, I think it's over the last 3 years, 3 or 4 years, those are the ones that are playing under par. And we'll see that right here, right? Par 3 scoring average, par. Par 4 scoring average, slightly over, tour average, but slightly over 4. And then the par 5s right here, 4.66. So those par 5s, on the South Course at least, are going to be very, very important. And we do have par 5 scoring built into our model, so we'll make sure to bring that up when the time comes, right? But overall, yeah, so I guess the things I want to note here would be fairway and regulation way lower, which, guys, this is a course in which you do get penalized if you miss a drive or land in the rough or your tee shot isn't all that accurate. So driving accuracy is a big one. Secondarily, driving distance. If we scroll down here and we can take a peek at it, this is a course in which if you drive it further than tour average, you are gaining a couple strokes per round. So though we mention accuracy, the guys that can hit it far and straight are definitely, in a position to be a head up or a leg up on the competition here. Even looking at the approach shot distribution, a lot of these approach shots are coming in from the further away sort of yardage range that we have here. Some courses will see a ton of shots coming from this 50 to 125, but in this case, it really is going to be that 126 to 175. And then what I really kind of focused on when we get to our modeling portion of this is that kind of 176 and beyond. I think we did 180 and beyond. So the strokes gained in those long approach shots, definitely important in my opinion here. Now, if we look at some of the most recent winners, we'll look at the last 3 weeks. We have Matthew Pavon, Max Homa, and Luke List won it in the last, 2024, 2023, and 2022. And you'll see, off the tee, yeah, there is some red, but those guys really performed well. There's a lot of green here in terms of guys that gain strokes off the tee, and the strokes gained on the approach, there's only a couple reds in here. Red's good, green's bad, right? So these are the 2 things that we really are going to be focusing on. I think to win here, you have to make birdies, so that's factored into our model as well. But overall, this is going to be a course in which driving and putting yourself in a good position and being able to hit those longer approach shots, especially on some of these long par 4s and definitely the long par 5s or the par 5s in general, are going to be a massive thing that we focus on. So let's go ahead and jump into our model here. And we can see the first 4 guys on the list, Ludwig Åberg, Hideki Matsuyama, Sung J M, and Tony Finau. If we start just going across here, looking at a few of these guys. So Åberg, coming off of when he last played the Century, top 5 here, tied 5, -24, right, was pretty greened out across the board. The one thing that I kind of worry about with him, may potentially be this driving accuracy, but he is a very, very good ball striker. And you can even see that here, right? Look at these approach shots from the fairway of 226 plus. He's gaining strokes there, right? So I do think that he's going to be a guy that we can take a peek at this week. He is the odds-on favorite, but it makes sense because he hits it far, he hits it straight. That driving accuracy, yes, it looks very low, but when he needs to be, he can be, very accurate. And he's, 15 yards ahead of tour average in terms of distance, and he doesn't three-putt as much as on average of tour players. So Ludwig Åberg could be a look for us here. Again, he's playing fairly well if you include that century. In terms of his round by round there, as the week went on, he got even better. Rounds 3 and then round 4 was his 2 best days there. Moving on, like I said, the next one on the list would be Hideki Matsuyama. You can see they're 1 and 2 in terms of the outright odds. Matsuyama is a guy that I would definitely consider here. The only thing that worries me is not exactly the best when it comes to three putts, right? This is his last 40 rounds, I believe. He's sitting at an 11% rate when they're outside of 25 feet. Tour average 9.3. And you could see he's definitely dialed more into those 50 and I guess, 125 type approach shots. But overall, clearly a really good player. And you look at his season so far, the Century and the Sony. Won the Century, right? Follows it up with a tied 16 at the Sony, and in terms of his last 4 rounds, he's been doing fairly well. Realistically, he's been getting out to a decent start, and then again, round 3 makes his big claim, and then round 4, obviously, especially at the Century, kind of just absolutely put it away. Relatively speaking, in terms of strokes gained. Next, we're looking at Sungjae Im, who's someone I definitely like here. Before we get into all this, because we can say, okay, yeah, he didn't look very good at the American Express. -6, he got cut, right? The Century looked really good, came in 3rd, but, if we look at more recency bias, that American Express did not look all that great. But this is a guy that's short. He's slightly further than tour average, right? But how about this? In terms of what we're seeing here, all right, right in the middle of the pack in terms of ball speed, but driving accuracy, 64.3% there, which we like to see. Tour average sitting at just 60, so he's ahead of that, right? Greens in regulation, he's higher than as well, and I don't see any issues with him being in that 180-ish range that we're going to be focusing on, and he does not three-putt. Three-putt is going to be massive. If we bring it back to the course here, you'll see here, the three-putt percentage is higher than tour average. 3 percentage points higher. Hideki Matsuyama is 1/3 of the average three-putt in terms of percentage. So I don't mind him in this spot. And then I guess same thing with Tony Finau. Is he having the best season? No, but ball speed's there. Driving accuracy, as you can see, that 226 plus in terms of strokes gained looks very good. Birdie conversion, three-putting, that all looks good as well. So those are the top 4 guys, and one thing I will say is they all ball strike really well, which what we have built into our model this week is ball striking, driving accuracy, driving distance, carry just overall, so not just off the tee, approach shots of 180 plus, strokes gained around the green, marginally built in, I think it's like 5%, putting 4 to 12 feet on POA grass, and then par 5 scoring, okay? Those are all going to be very, very crucial in this one. And you can see a lot of these guys that strike the ball really well, we have gone ahead and favored it and liked in this spot, because I like guys that drive it accurately or strike the ball well. And then also the next one that I have weighed here is driving accuracy. If we filter on some of our favorites here, you'll see we do have Ludwig and Sungjae as our 2 out of those 4 that we kind of highlighted, right? Our 2 guys that we're liking as of right now, just because I think they fit the bill pretty well. Like, I do like Sungjae, maybe in some tough tournament spots as well. You could see a lot of guys, actually, I didn't even mention this, a lot of guys looking at this have had some success at this tournament, right? Some of these top guys, so that's pretty crucial. But as you kind of scroll down the list and stuff, not everyone realistically has. There's been plenty of guys that have been cut, and also, the year afterwards came back and tied 6, like Bo Haas. We can talk about him in a little bit. So yeah, there are some weirdness things when it comes to finishing position in previous years. I've thought about it, but it's not something that I'm actually overly focusing on, if I'm being completely honest. So let's get into our names here. We talked about Ludwig, we talked about Sungjae. Max Grazerman has been awesome for us. He was one of our only cashes last week. We had him in a matchup, and we had him in top 20, top 30, he came through for us. His par 5 scoring average, he's the 4th best in the field. If we head over here, unfilter, and then we look at that, there's Max Grazerman, right? We have Jonathan Vegas in there as well, which we can talk about as well. He is the number 1 par 5 scoring player in this field, as well as strokes gained from a ball striking perspective, and his driving distance ain't all that bad, right? So if we do look at him, we can scroll down and kind of see where he sits from a driving accuracy perspective. Crickets, right? Do we still have that on the soundboard? That ain't it. There it is. Crickets. Everything's great. Ball speed, ball striking, being able to hit the approach shots. He's less than 3 putting, but driving accuracy looks like it can certainly get us in trouble. So there's a reason why he does look like he is favorited by us, right? But he is sitting at, one of our higher odds plays in terms of what we have, right? But let's keep going on here. Taylor Pendrith, this strokes gained around the green is the only thing that we have red here, right? I just mentioned I only have this built to, I think it's about 5%. Let's see, strokes gained around the green. Yeah, 5% is what I'm factoring in here. So nothing even all that drastic. Everything else looks okay, right? Par 5 scoring, driving distance, driving overall carry, and his strokes gained ball striking. Kurt Kitayama, a guy that kind of did not come through for us last week. Don't mind him. And then Luke Clanton, very big here. 2 of the things that I deem very, very important, going to be driving accuracy percentage and ball striking. Luke Clanton, number 1 guy in the field in terms of ball striking, and then number 3 when it comes to his driving accuracy, right? And this is based on recent rounds here. You'll see, look at these. Ball speed and driving accuracy. That screams Torrey Pines South to me. His approach shots, good in terms of greens and regulation. I get a little worried that he's much better in that sort of 150 range and whatnot. But overall, he's converting his birdies. He's less than in terms of that 3-putt percentage. So definitely a guy that I feel comfortable with, even though, what was it, a couple of weeks ago? Yeah, we had him at the Sony and he got cut, right? So it's like that kind of that kind of stunk. But overall, still don't necessarily mind Luke Clanton this week. I think that some of his odds actually look okay, right? Like when you look around here, he's probably going to be a guy that I look at top 20 or top 10. When you get to winning this one, does he have that it factor? Potentially, but as of right now, I'm probably looking him in the top 10 range. Moving a little quicker here, you can get to some of our higher end, or I guess more dark horse type sleepers. Bo Hostler, this guy we did not end up taking last week, was a guy on our list, didn't make the final cut here, finished T12. We really should have thought about that a little bit more. JJ Spawn, has he had the best season? Well, T3 at Sony, and then top 30, tied 29th when it comes to the American Express. That's good. He also strikes the ball really well and scores well on par 5s. We talked about Vegas. Joe Highsmith, Lee Hodges, and Hayden Springer are kind of my dark horses this week. Both, we have Highsmith and Hayden Springer finished T33 last year, a year ago, right? Neither one of them have looked all that tremendous here, but if we do jump into their profiles and I guess how they've been playing, so we can include Lee Hodges in this one as well. We'll go through all 3 of them, right? Look at this. So he hasn't been doing all that tremendously. Now, when you look at what he did, I guess, like we said, we're looking at Hayden Springer first. Last year, T33, -5. Gained strokes off the tee, gained strokes putting. It's kind of what we're looking for. Struggled when it came to the approach game, right? Which, yes, we're going to see that here. He definitely struggles in terms of some shot approach, but that's in the bucket that we don't care all that much about, right? So that's good to see. He 3 putts less than tour average, converts slightly more birdies, and has a very high ball speed and is about 12 yards higher than tour average when it comes to driving distance. Driving accuracy, we can worry about, but again, when we're looking at odds of, geez, these odds are crazy. A top 20 for him could be plus 600. We can at least take one little issue, and that's going to be driving accuracy there. And even when we do look at it from this 81, not all that tremendous, right? But it's not showing up as 110 or like it's bad, but not terrible. Joe Highsmith, another one that we're considering now. Has he had a good year? No. Cut at the Sony, tied 66 at the American Express, but incredibly accurate, higher average ball speed here. You can see gains a few decent strokes from the fairway and the rough here from that large bucket. Other, not so much, but then his 3-putt percentage looks like, okay, that could be tough. Birdie conversion isn't all that great. But again, these are the guys that are in the dark horse category for us. It's like we can maybe take 1 or 2 bad things about these guys for the flyer that we're putting on them. Just like Lee Hodges here, right? Tied 10 at Sony, tied 34 at the American. We like to see that. Incredibly accurate, 69.2 in terms of driving accuracy, and he's actually 8 yards further than tour average. But down here, okay, 3 putts not good, birdie percentage isn't all that tremendous, but all of a sudden I start to look at greens in regulation, I look at shots gained on the approach, not all that bad in that longer range in bucket, right? So maybe we sit here and say, okay, Lee Hodges could be a decent look. In terms of how he played, let's see, last time he played here, he was the tied 33, -5, right? So, oh no, this was, Lee Hodges was, I think he was tied 30. Okay. Cut. Scratch that, cut. He had a T10, yeah, at the Sony, okay. But overall, these are guys that you're like sprinkling on, if anything, right? So if I make my camera smaller here so you guys can see it, these are the names. What do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 12 names here that I'm putting around, no pun intended, as of right now. Now, this tournament starts early, so I'll get this video out to you guys and update my final plays either by tonight or early tomorrow morning. So keep an eye down on the pinned comment. But this is who I'm thinking about as of right now. A couple other names that I mentioned. Max Homa came in first at this tournament a couple years ago, tied 13th last year. Obviously likes playing here. I believe this is his home course. Shout out to my dad for filling me in with that information. He was definitely someone that I considered, and he is, where are his odds right here? Yeah, plus 3,000 to win it. Another one that I looked at was Maverick McNeely. I like the idea of this strokes gained on the approach. Like if we filter to some of the better guys here, you'll notice that even though I talked about it a lot, I didn't take some of these top guys, but that's because not many of them brought other statistics with them. Like maybe Henrik Norlander here, who could be someone to consider, right? But just based on what we're seeing from a data perspective, but I don't know much about him. But you'll see Hayden Springer was the only guy that really, when I filtered to approach, had some other metrics that I really liked. But I do think that, Max Homa being one of those guys that could be good. A few other names, like I said, Maverick McNeely, kicked around another idea. Let's see if we can find a Ben Griffin. Almost came through for us last week, right? And then we do have Austin Eckert. He looks okay, but these are just some names. Daniel Berger, I'm going to add Daniel Berger to my list here. I think he's going to have a good year. American Express, we liked him. We liked him in the Sony. He ended up getting cut, but I like Daniel Berger. He's going to be on the list as well. In fact, let's take a peek at some of his so recent performance. Obviously, we know that, but I want to dive into him. So let's see what he is in terms of looking at his player profile. Because this could be, very accurate. That's what I was assuming. And look at the strokes gained from distance. 3-putt, meh, right? Little longer than tour average. Daniel Berger could also be a name. So I'm glad that that's now on our list as well here. Throwing him in. Where did he go? Right there. But overall, those are the names that I'm looking at, guys. Let me know who you guys are rolling with in the comments. I know these golf videos are for a smaller audience, but I love betting golf, and it's one of the more unique sports to wager on. Like I said, we've had 2 bad weeks. We didn't do the original video, right? I don't think we did a Century, but we did a Sony and American Express, and I know we didn't do that. But, we're down over 3 units here, and it's not exactly cause for concern yet. That's why golf is great. You can hit on a plus 600, in which NFL, NBA, we're not normally doing that, right? So all that being said, hopefully we do have a good Farmers here. I like the names we have, and I'm really going to dig into some matchups. I think that that's where we can make some bread, which we have not yet this season, but that's really what I considered my forte last year. So looking forward to that, and we'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Make sure to hit that like button, hit subscribe. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.